The last section in Chapter 1, Section 1.10, we talked about identifying sets of numbers, whether they be rational, irrational, natural, whole, or integers, how to compare values, and then ordering values from least to greatest. So the first thing that we want to talk about are the different types of number sets. So we have rational numbers, which means rational numbers can be fractions, terminating, which means ending, or repeating decimals. Okay, rational values are fractions, terminating decimals, or repeating decimals, whereas irrational numbers are never ending and they don't repeat. And then once you identify whether it's rational or irrational, you would also want to make sure that you identify whether or not it's an integer, whether it is a whole number, or if it's a natural number. Okay, integers are both the negative and positive whole numbers, and they go on all the way to infinity in the positive direction and all the way to infinity in the negative direction. Whole numbers start at 0 and they go 0, 1, 2, 3, and they only go into the positive direction. Whereas natural numbers, also known as counting numbers, they start at 1 and they go 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, all the way in the positive direction. So if we look at the fraction 2/5, I can identify that it is going to be rational because it is a fraction. It's not irrational because it's either one or the other. It's not an integer, it's not a whole number, and it's not a natural number. So the only thing that 2/3 is a rational number. If I look at the cube root of 11 into my calculator, the cube root of 11 is 2.223980091. Notice that this decimal goes all the way to the edge of my calculator, which means that it will continue on if my calculator let it. Meaning, it's not a fraction, it doesn't terminate because there's not an end to it, and it doesn't repeat, which makes it an irrational number. When you're comparing values, the easiest way to compare values is making sure that both are in decimal form. So the first thing I want to do is take the square root of 12 so that I can get it into decimal form. When I take the square root of 12, I get 3.464. 3.464. Now, even though rounded, the two values will be equal, you cannot round when you're comparing. So I want to fill this circle with either a less than symbol, a greater than symbol, or an equal to symbol. I know that 3.464 is going to be less than 3.5 because when comparing digits, my 3's match, but my 4 is smaller than my 5. So I'm using the less than symbol. Last thing I'm being asked to do is to order the values from least to greatest. Once again, you want to make sure that you put everything in decimal form, but then convert it back to the original form it was when putting your final answer out there. So we want to take the square root of 5, and that would be 2.23. 6.54 is already in decimal form. -2.5 would convert to -2.5, and -2.6 is already in decimal form as well. Now, I want to do it from least to greatest. The number furthest left on my number line is going to be -2.6. The next smallest number is going to be -2.5, which I would want to write that as -2.5. I'm sorry. The next smallest value is going to be the square root of 5, followed by 6.54. You may wonder how -2.6 is smaller than -2.5, and that's because on a number line, Okay, negative 2.6 is going to be here, whereas negative 2.5 is going to be there. And notice the further left on the number line is the smaller. So this would here would be my final answer.